Welcome to today's webinar. Transparency is the new green in product selection and specification, and our topic for today is finding products for well version 2. I'm Terry Swack, the CEO and founder of Sustainable Minds, and today we are super proud and excited to do this webinar again with Rodolfo Perez, the Director of Standard Development at the International Well Building Institute. So we're going to get started, and we'll give you some background on Sustainable Minds and the Transparency Catalog. We pushed a new release in September, version 3. And with this webinar, we pushed some new functionality yesterday on the credit-specific filters in the catalog to deliver on the promise made in the webinar invitation to make it possible to find products eligible for the various well versions and credits literally in one click. We're going to show you how to do that a little bit later in the demo portion of the agenda. So moving right along, for those of you who are not familiar with Sustainable Minds and this is your first webinar, welcome. And for those that do know us, thank you for coming back. Sustainable Minds is a company I founded in 2007. We deliver cloud software and services for product teams who are looking to design greener products and ultimately specify and select greener products. And all of our tools and services are designed to support those sets of goals. Our first product, our EcoConcept and LCA software, was the first to deliver a streamlined LCA and eco-design tool to product development teams to think about and be able to evaluate the environmental impacts of products in early stage design so they can rapidly make comparative trade-off decisions. And our second product family, our transparency products, we launched in 2013 after the introduction of product transparency in the first draft of LEED version 4 put out in 2012, where one of the credits was now going to be based on manufacturers using LCA and creating EPDs to disclose the environmental performance of their products. We'd already been in the business of simplifying LCA and making the information understandable and meaningful. And that's when we decided, let's just focus also on building construction to make the tools that architects, engineers, contractors, and owners were going to need to be able to make better decisions about the products that go into the building. So it's similar, making decisions in early stage design, but also product decisions get made much later in construction. So our goal for all of the services that we offer is to provide a streamlined approach, an end-to-end approach for building product manufacturers who do want to invest in product transparency and who are working on creating higher performing products, to have one place to come to get those services delivered, get those disclosures created, and to integrate that product transparency into their product marketing to ultimately win more business for building product manufacturers who are making higher performing, we say greener and healthier products. It's important for everyone in attendance, whether you're a building product manufacturer or an architect, engineer, contractor, owner, to keep in mind that product transparency is really all about product performance. And the two attributes of transparency, environmental performance and material health, are performance attributes that people use now to make decisions about products. So they sit alongside functional performance, aesthetics, cost, safety, all the traditional metrics or criteria that people use to make decisions. Now environmental performance and material health are criteria that people use to make decisions. And when product transparency was introduced in 2012, was really a concept, a hope that manufacturers could have the wherewithal to be transparent. And I think people who have been practicing during the time frame from 2012 to 2020 have seen the kind of slow progression and the challenge that it has been for manufacturers to invest the time, invest the money, take the risk of disclosing this information. But it's really scaled, and it's gone from an early concept to really being a specification requirement. You'll see in the catalog today, there are over 1,500 building product manufacturers who have invested in product transparency in 25 MasterFormat divisions and across over 850 sections. So going out on a limb here, I'm going to say there almost isn't any type of product that can go into a building today where there isn't a manufacturer who has been transparent about what goes into their products and the environmental performance as well. So actual performance matters now. It isn't enough to just have, for a manufacturer to have a disclosure so you can check the box. People really do care about the actual performance. Is it better than something else that a competitor has, or better than something a manufacturer has made previously? And the rating systems have responded by creating credits for optimized products and optimized disclosures, and with well being one of them. And so you'll see how we've made it simpler to find those manufacturers and reward them for optimizing their products and their disclosures. Because what it comes down to at the end of the day, if the intent of our whole industry is to reduce the impact of the built environment on the natural environment and human health, then we actually do have to really select and specify products that really do have less impact on human health and the environment to achieve that goal. And for that to happen, the manufacturers have to continue to evaluate their own products using these technical disclosure methods first to see what's really happening, and then set improvement goals. And the market needs to respond by selecting, specifying, and purchasing these products. They really do go into those buildings. Because the worst case scenario is that now all these manufacturers have complied with this request. If they don't see the payoff or the payback, then it's possible they might stop being transparent, which means they won't have the technical studies to benchmark for themselves how to create improvements and ultimately bring higher performing products to the market. So it is a virtuous cycle of supply and demand, and that's why the webinars that we do, we invite both communities, architects, engineers, contractors, and owners, as well as building product manufacturers, because we're all in it together. And our role here at Sustainable Minds with the Transparency Catalog is really to revolutionize that process of selection and specification. And the way we're doing that is to really, really simplify how brands and products can get found so that ultimately people are making better decisions about what goes into buildings, and manufacturers get paid back for the investment, the risk, the time, and for really stepping up and improving their products. And so we're trying to tell that story, doing more in one click. And we're going to show you more about that later. I'm going to turn things over to Rodolfo, one of the most important healthy building standards in the world, setting those benchmarks for performance that we're going to be able to help you set out to achieve. So Rodolfo, please take it away.
Thanks, Terry, and welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm Rodolfo Perez, Director in the Standard Development team at the International Well-Being Institute, in charge of developing the water and materials concept in WELL. So I want to talk a little bit about what WELL is for those that are not well versed with it. Then what's the role of building materials in it, and then like double down on what Terry's been talking about, the relevance that not only the catalog puts into transparency, but what we do to highlight transparency in materials in the standard. So first of all, what is WELL? The WELL building standard, we believe, is the leading tool for advancing health in buildings and communities and organizations globally. Our presence now is in over 60 countries, in all continents. We have projects of many sizes, types, and audiences. So it's really a growing movement that we want basically everybody who's working towards healthier options at every level to convey through our standard. And when I talk about health, it's not just the absence of disease, but it's the whole. Health is beyond that. It's a mental well-being, it's a societal well-being as much as a physical well-being. So that's what we combine in WELL. And as a rating system, we have to kind of systematize a little bit what we ask projects that seek WELL to address. And we do so with what we call the concepts. So we divide in a holistic approach kind of the pie that we believe is human health into 10 concepts, which are kind of like what LEED has with the different categories. But in this case, we have concepts that include everything from the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat and we provide in our places that we work in and sometimes we live. Movement like ergonomics and physical activity promotion, as well as light quality, acoustics, community interactions, and protections that we have as workers and members of a community, as well as our mental health and services that we can have to improve our mental well-being. And for this audience, the one that might be the most gleeful is materials. We have one of the 10 concepts is actually having healthy materials. Now, how do we get here to this WELL v2 rating system? In 2014, we released what is called the WELL building standard by then. Now we call it v1. And it was a process that conveyed the medical and the practitioner communities to come up with a set of the best thought practices to achieve better places for people. We expanded that notion in 2017 with the WELL community standard, which is an extension for multiple buildings in common places that are publicly accessible. Think of a river walk, for instance, with many facilities, and or small neighborhoods within a city. Then in 2018, we grabbed the feedback from the WELL building standard and released what is the WELL v2 pilot. So we shuffle a bit the organization in WELL v1 and create a new version of the WELL building standard. That it was the latest until a month ago when we released in 2020 the WELL v2 graduated version. Just call it WELL v2. We also released in 2018 a portfolio program, which is a way for companies and organizations to align with the WELL objectives by providing a path for multiple buildings and that highlight this corporational commitment with our features, with our objectives. And when we talk about the evolution of WELL, one thing that I want to highlight is how materials are becoming more important in WELL. In WELL v1, we have, as I mentioned, we have 10 concepts in WELL right now, but we used to have 7, and we did not have a materials concept. So one thing that we did in WELL v2 is to actually develop this material concept and also provide the community with more alternatives to how to meet WELL. We have less mandatory actions, or we call it features, and so people can choose from more, giving, of course, a baseline on each of these basic concepts. But also, we provide the flexibility that was required by the market, so more projects can adopt WELL, and we've seen that growth significantly in the last years, and not only in the locations around the world, but also in the type of projects that are seeking our certification. And it's growing. And now with with the whole pandemic situation, even more thinking of how health in the places that we live and work has become more relevant in the public discourse. So now let's think about materials. I talk about the new concept called materials. What we mean with that is a concept that help us to provide to reduce exposure to things that we believe can be dangerous for human health, dangerous or deleterious, or can create deleterious effects. So we try to bring this more information to the public about what's on a building, also foster green chemistry and advanced market transformation, in which transparency is one of our major areas of basically of interest for projects to pursue. Now, how to implement this chemical avoidance in the materials concept? Roughly into three areas. One is reducing the exposure to legacy contaminants. Think of asbestos, PCBs, and lead. The other one is to educate customers to improve their material selection. What do we put in a building? Ingredient restrictions, VOC emission restrictions, like LEED has, and also know more about the materials through the transparency features. And finally, we also encourage projects to seek better building operations and consumables such as cleaning products and pesticides. So overall, we fit our intent of reducing exposure to chemicals that might be deleterious. Now, if you go to our website, it's on the slide here. You can see how the materials concept looks in well. We have what we call the preconditions that if you see in the top left of the slide, you see the P, which are mainly the legacy abatement part of the well building standard materials. And then we have the optimizations of points granting features. And we also have a system that we award points up to 100 points, and we have a platinum, silver, and gold levels. So you need to reach points on every of these concepts, at least a few points on each of the concepts, and you get the certification sought. So I want to take a look a little bit about the ones that involve material selections. From a precondition, we have something as basic as restrict the use of legacy contaminants, avoid as much as we can asbestos, lead, and mercury in our buildings, and that's mandatory for all buildings. Now, in terms of chemical restrictions, we have another feature that is for interior materials that should comply with restrictions in other chemical classes such as orthophthalates, halogenated flame retardants, heavy metals, and PFAS. Following the leadership in this case, we try to align as much as we can with them, and we have a VOC restriction feature as well, in which we ask products to take a good look at their VOC emissions and testing when needed. And highlighted in this talk is the materials transparency feature that has three different parts, different levels of transparency, but we encourage projects to have products that have their HPDs, their disclosure materials, at different degrees of granularity, 1000 ppm or 100 ppm, and also our projects that have products whose manufacturers went the extra mile and actually third-party verify their material transparency condition. And you can see here a screenshot of how it looks in the website, and you see that there's a few options for how to declare transparency, and those are likely you can find these products in the catalog, in the transparency catalog that Terry will show later today. Finally, we have a materials optimization feature. We did some work to try to differentiate the transparency to the declaration of what's in a product from the optimization, which is ensuring that whatever's in the product is not meets some chemical restriction to avoid to as much as possible harm to the users. And we have two different possibilities here. One is more of a list-based chemical restriction, like a red list free type of encouragement. And then we have the next level for manufacturers who go the extra mile and go for like product certifications such as Cradle to Cradle or the Living Product Challenge. And again, this is the way it looks. In the website, we have both parts. And if you see one thing that I want to point, for materials optimization, we have 2 points. The whole standard gives up at most 100 points. So 2 points for optimization and 3 points actually as a maximum for material transparency. We're talking about 5 points. That's not a small amount. We definitely, in the development of Well v2, we encourage projects to follow this. We really are pushing the market towards materials transparency and better disclosure and less health footprint. For those who have a little more experience working with Well, I want to show a little bit about the difference between the 3 versions that I talked earlier. Well v2, as I said earlier, we have this air and mind concepts where they have the material transparency and enhanced material safety. We changed the names a bit in the pilot, but the content is about the same. And you see in the catalog here that they're grouped together in terms of what type of compliance you can get in this Well v1 and Well v2 pilot versions of the standard. But in Well v2, the one recently released, we did a little bit of shuffling and doing a better differentiation of what transparency means versus what optimization means for us. And finally, a little bit of a roundup of the main changes for those who are more familiar with Well between Well v2 pilot and Well v2. First of all, we streamlined the achievement of some of the features, expanded a bit the scope of the concept. We are more product oriented. We declare features that tell you how, for instance, a furniture product should be, or what are the chemical restrictions for furniture, instead of telling in different parts, like to restrict, say, orthophthalates and then HFR. So this is easier to follow by manufacturers. And we have a better alignment with LIPI v4.1 credits, particularly low-emitting materials and materials ingredients. Again, highlighting materials transparencies, as I said earlier, and differentiate better with materials optimization. So that's what I wanted to show you today. And now I'm going to give back the mic to Terry to give a demonstration of what the catalog can do for you. And thanks for staying with us. And Terry, all yours.
Thank you, Rodolfo. So my demo won't take that long because we've promised that you can find eligible products for Well in one click. That's all we're going to do. So for those of you who want to request the slide deck, you'll be able to do that. Also, this webinar has been recorded, and you will all get an email with a link to the recording. So if you didn't capture everything, don't worry about it. You'll get that information. But we actually had been getting requests in the last few months to make it easier to find the optimization credits and to find those products. And actually, we had already the lead optimization credits in this list, but one of the things we've done is just created a little sub list in this selector where the optimization credits for both lead and Well can be found. So now if people are really looking just for those optimized products and disclosures, that's going to be super easy to find. And it is a little bit complex in terms of which disclosures are eligible to meet each of those rating system credits. So you're going to see this link, View Product Transparency Credits. It's going to take you to this page, which is the Product Transparency Credits page, and I'm going to show you this live. But what we've done is created kind of a handy decoder page that shows you by each technical program the different types of disclosures that they have and which rating system credits those disclosures are eligible for. So all you have to do is, if you're not sure, just go back to this page and know that our data team is really hard at work reviewing every disclosure as we get them using the HPD API, the declare API. We're going to be wrapping up the cradle to cradle API soon. But these disclosures are reviewed and tagged so that we're giving you that information in the filter so that we can make that brand promise to do more in one click. So here we are at the front page of the transparency catalog. And there's a couple ways you can dive in and start to use it. One is you can filter by master format. So let's say you're doing research for a project and you want to start doing research for products, let's say in Division 9. You can just start by saying Division 9, or you could also select a section. So let's say you wanted to work on flooring. You could put in a brand name if you were looking for flooring from a specific manufacturer, or you could simply say, look, I just want to go and see all of the manufacturers and their products in 0960 flooring. So I'm going to go there. And you can see here in this selector column, there's a whole bunch of different filters that you can apply. And the beauty of it is that you can apply these filters in any order to filter down to just the products or the brands that you want to find. So what you're seeing here is we just filtered on 0960. So there's 145 brands and almost 1,200 products for different kinds of flooring. Now you can actually click through and look at each page, or you might say, oh, I wonder what all those brands are. So you can click on the brands filter and you can just select the brands that you might want to see and save those brands, and that's what will display. Or you can come down here to the rating systems filter and say, oh, okay, great. I'm working on a well building. So show me all the flooring products that are going to meet this version 2 materials transparency credit. So it's still a lot of brands and still a lot of products. You might say, well, let me see if I can go for this optimization credit too. And let's see what happens. Oh, so that really filters it down. There's 29 brands, 118 products. You can still look and see and pick by brand. Or now you can get into the selector and say, well, now really I'm looking for a certain kind of flooring. And the way that we've designed the master format filtering is designed to do two things. One, to find brands that you might not have known about. And two, to find product solutions that you might not have known existed that might work for the project that you're working on. So everything in 0960 turns on, and then you're going to go through the list and say, okay, well, I'm not looking for flooring treatment. I'm not looking for specialty flooring or masonry. I'm not looking for wood. I might be looking for resilience. I'm going to leave that on. So notice in real time, it filters down to what filters you've left on. Let's say, no, not terrazzo, not fluid applied. I'm not going to look at carpeting right now, but I am going to have to go look at access flooring. Good to know that that's in there, and I'll go back and look at that later. I'm going to turn that off. And now across resilient flooring, you've got 10 brands and 45 products, and you can continue to turn things off. No, I'm not looking for athletic. I might be looking for linoleum. I don't need static resistant. I don't want vinyl. And you kind of get the rest of it. And the beauty of it is you're going to be able to filter down to just the brands and products. And now the manufacturers who have added their products to the catalog, you're going to be able to look at the list of products. And when you click there, it's going to take you directly to the manufacturer's website for that product information about that product. And we don't believe that manufacturers should have to manage a lot of content about their products someplace other than their website, which really should be the single point of truth. But then alongside that, you're going to be able to see that it has an EPD. You're going to be able to get that EPD that's right there. see that it has a red list free declare label. If you're not sure what red list free means, that's there. You can see how it's stacking up in the EC3 tool regarding embodied carbon. In a glance, you'll be able to see if they have HPDs, what version, the disclosure level, whether it's been verified or not verified. And so all of the information that you're going to need to help make a decision about environmental performance and material health and whether the products are going to meet your rating system requirements are all there literally in a glance, in a click. And if you can't find a brand you're looking for, you're always able to look at all the brands which are listed on the front page. So at the beginning, when I said you can start using the catalog one of two ways, you can filter and search, or you can literally alphabetically look through the list so that you can see every single brand. Sometimes you might not spell it right, or you're not sure of the name. You want to see what's there. And then you're going to be able to go to the manufacturer's listing page, where you're going to be able to see every single product they have by section or by everything. You're going to be able to download the specification, contact them for more information, share content, and this is really, as you can see, the building blocks for the filtered results. So I'm going to stop here. We're really at the end of our time, and I want to thank Rodolfo for taking time to share the well story with us. We're really happy to be able to support the great work that's happening at the International Well Building Institute to support people be creating measurably healthier buildings. And we're always ready and interested to do demos. If you're an architect, engineer, or construction company, we're happy to do demos for you and your team. So you can think about integrating the transparency catalog into the way you select and specify products. And building product manufacturers, we are really happy to meet with you and talk to you about the value of adding your products to the catalog, because people don't specify disclosures, they specify products with disclosures. And so there's a big benefit and ROI to adding your products. So either way, we're open to helping you out and telling you more, and you'll be able to let us know if you'd like some follow-up on your way out. So again, Rodolfo, thank you so much. We're looking forward to working with you going forward, and thanks everybody for taking time out of your busy day.
Thanks, Terry. It was a pleasure, and looking forward to hopefully to promote more transparency with you along the way.
Terrific. Thanks, everyone.